Thank you, Madam President. Members, I rise to talk about and support this constitutional amendment from the standpoint of my experience working in building transportation facilities, public contracts. Now, part of the law actually mentions public contracts. So when we talk about public contracts, what we're trying to do is we're trying to have a fair process of bidding and awarding of public contracts in the best interest for the public. And my experience having it actually goes back over 30 years, when I chaired the first half-cent sales tax county board in Santa Clara County in San Jose, we created a minority business women enterprise program to set some goals to have more businesses from our community to bid and be involved in the construction of the transportation facilities that the voters approved with the half-cent sales tax. At that time, we didn't have Proposition 209. We had an opportunity to grow the industry. We had the first process is to have the main contractors at work to hire subcontractors, minority women business enterprise subcontractors. Pretty soon, we had minority business, women business enterprise prime contractors. So we were growing the industry, and the prime contractors would hire people in the community who were workers who then themselves became contractors. Now, why is this a good thing? Well, I like to have more bidders when I have a project. I don't like to have a small group of bidders. I become real suspicious when I see only one contractor bidding on a project. And to be honest about it, that's the way it used to be. And when we did this program, we had some people that came to me and said, "Hey, Jim, you're just creating all these new rules because we can come in and do the job." And, you know, Caltrans said our work would be done in about 17 years. Well, we said, we're going to do it our way. We're going to have the community do the work. We're going to have more contractors bidding. And guess what? We got the projects finished on time and on budget before Caltrans said. We didn't do it in 17 years. We did it in 9.5 years. Finished tens of billions of dollars worth of construction. More bidders means more competition and better price. If you look at the United Minority Contractors Association for the state of California in the early 90s, you're looking at the Public Official of the Year, your chair of your Senate Transportation Committee. I was awarded that award. And we set the tone for Caltrans because a lot of the work was done by Caltrans before. They didn't have very many bidders. After we started doing what we did, we started having more bidders. We started looking at some of their rules and found out that they inhibited bidders. I don't believe we're talking about changing our views about discrimination, but when people say they want to be colorblind, that doesn't mean you have to be blind. When you look at it from my standpoint on these contracts, if you're blind to this, believe me, this is not the right thing. This is a regression after Prop 209. Prop 209 destroyed what I was talking about. Prop 209 pushed it backwards into the old days. Believe me, when we were engaged in writing SB 1, and we put some real heavy participation requirements, involvement, we couldn't put the kinds of participation rules we had back in the heyday when we did it in the 90s. But the Senator from Gardenia and I created a set of statutes that required more participation. But I think it's shameful, don't you, that 3/4 of the construction industry on our transportation facilities are women and minorities, mainly minorities, not enough women. But less than 10% of the contractors are minorities. I think it's shameful, So in other words, they're doing all the work, but the contractors are making all the profit. So that's the result of Proposition 209. To me, that's an evil. That's an evil. We need to have opportunities. I talked to a couple years ago a electrical contractor who worked in the electrician business. He was a union member, and he said, "Jim, I'm finally going to create my business. I'm going to create my construction, my electric contracting business." And I said, you do the high-tech clean rooms, you do the most detailed, high-quality electrical work imaginable. You have to work for those companies that want the perfectly clean rooms, all the proper electrical systems working. How come it took you so long? And he said, we still have that good old boy system. We still have that good old boy system. So for me, that's got to change, because if we don't change it, guess what? You're going to be paying more money for your contracts. You want to just kind of ignore that? Fine. But if we want to get some of the guys like this that can come in and do some great contracting work, it seems to me we ought to make some rules that benefit the state of California, not specific people that benefit by laws that were put on the ballot without proper review. This needs to be looked at very closely. So for me, I think that this law needs to pass. I want to see more people engaged in women minority contracting. I want to see that competition. I want to see it flourish, the industry flourish. We have a lot of beautiful things to build. We have water system, education facilities, transportation, transit. We have a lot of beautiful things we're going to build in this state. We're going to make this state a great state, and by golly, everybody's going to have an opportunity to be involved in that. So I urge an aye vote.